what next steps are for the group. I sent out a room parent contact list, so hopefully you'll have an opportunity soon to connect with your fellow room parent. And also look for the other room parents at your grade level, because we would like to encourage some connections across the entire grade level as well. Introduce yourself to your teacher and introduce yourself to the class. One of the challenges we've had up to this point is obtaining parent contact information. So we're still working through that piece. So I'm hoping to get you guys all class lists with parent contact information so that you can start reaching out to all the parents in your class. If you've been a room parent in the past, you may remember kind of putting together that initial introductory letter, which was traditionally sent home via backpack mail. But we'll have an email version of that letter, and we'll probably have the teachers send that out on our behalf so that we can capture the entire class and hopefully obtain any missing contact information in that way. So that information will be coming, but for now, I think connecting with a fellow room parent, if you have one, connecting with other grade level room parents would be kind of your good starting point. And I will hopefully have more information for you soon. As far as planning events and activities, we have a whole list of kind of example activities that have been brainstormed that I'll get to next. But our goal is to really aim for having some sort of monthly event or activity to connect the students and families in the classroom. It would be nice to have kind of a target of having your first event sometime in the month of October. And as far as for the events and activities, it's very open-ended at this point, obviously within, socially distanced and appropriate guidelines. But, some of the ideas that we have brainstormed are virtual, socially distant activities. They can be just within your specific classroom, or like I previously mentioned, potentially collaborating with other grade levels or with your other classes at your grade level. We'd also like to encourage you to try to get other parents involved. Maybe they can help coordinate an activity or an event, especially if they have a special interest area that might be good for other families and students to get involved in. The other thing for room parents is that there are some PTO funds available to help with room parents this year. It's approximately $150 per class. So if you have ideas that would require some funding, please contact me and we'll kind of work through those logistics of getting the funding kind of available for any ideas you might have. The other idea that we've talked about to kind of spread the word of different events and activities that we're having is having the information available on the Onaway calendar. So that's something that I'll be sharing more information with you if that's something that we are going to pursue, is kind of getting that information added. And then here's just some ideas that have been thought up to get people started, and I'm really excited to hear what other ideas the group has. So ways to connect parents, such as parent check-ins, lots of different virtual ideas, parties, lunches, bingo nights, movie nights, dance parties, book clubs, trying to get outside for socially distant activities, play dates, or sending messages, sidewalk chalk messages, and then thinking about seasonal ideas or special occasions you might want to do around different holidays, birthdays, and that sort of thing. So lots of different ideas that have been kind of thought up by our community builder group. So I'll just kind of stop here and see what kind of questions, thoughts, ideas people have with our remaining time.
So, well, first I'm seeing a lot of things popping up. Can everyone see the screen? Like, I can see it.
Yes, I think it's just depending on your view. So if I think that maybe that was the issue. I don't know, but yeah, I can see it.
I set mine up as a split screen and I can see it. It's small, but
Okay.
Erica, I have a question.
Yes.
If we do go back in person at the end of October, will we still be doing the Halloween parade and Halloween parties in the classes? Or how, do we know anything about what that might look like?
I think at this point in time, we're kind of working under the assumption that we will not be able to do kind of their traditional Halloween party, parade, and winter parties. So a lot of these, the things that the room parents will be involved in is, you know, kind of coming up with new, unique ideas to kind of connect the different classrooms. So whether that be some sort of virtual Halloween event, and it doesn't have to be a Halloween event, but some other activity or event, and it's really open-ended at this point. And we can definitely try to collaborate more as a group to get some of those ideas going, but it's pretty open.
So,
I know that this was sort of asked before, but is there going to be a specific person in charge of like the virtual room compared to, I guess I just don't know how that's going to work. Like the virtual classroom opposed to, because the virtual classroom is going to be completely different than what the kids like in the classroom are going to be doing, right?
yeah, that's what I'm wondering too. I mean, Mr. Foreman said that I guess they'll know more in the next few days.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like, I don't know, you know, if like the class that's currently the class gets split in two and half the kids are actually in the classroom and the other half are doing virtual. I don't know. I mean, I guess like if you're sending crafts home or something, I guess you drop them off at their houses. I don't know.
Can I step in,
You
Erica?
could,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
What I think, because this is all so new, even hearing that we're going back to all of the to Erica and all of us, we still haven't learned more details than any of you, unfortunately. I think, though, from my understanding, is that parents are not allowed in classrooms, and kind of how we envisioned all of this is these are outside of the classroom. These are not during school hours. These are kind of bonuses, and can be even just for parents. If parents want to gather, whether it's a book, you know, an article club or a book reading a book together of just all sorts of things for kids, for parents, but outside of the classroom. There were a few things sprinkled in that we thought of. Somebody brought up that it might be funny to have pajama day and not let the teacher know, so that they all kind of pop in and they all have pajamas on or hats on or things like that might be in the classroom that some are in and the other virtual might, but I don't know that we know yet if the virtual are. And I might be mixing this up because I have older children as well, of how that will look yet. And I think that depends on the numbers that actually sign up for virtual and how they will do that. So I think we have to wait just a little bit, but I think the hope is, at least from my original understanding, is that they would try and keep the original kind of classroom. You would either start with your classroom first thing in the morning and then break off virtual or something similar. So we might just have to see a little bit.
Yeah, I would agree. I think, you know, depending on what happens with virtual and in-person learning, I mean, we might have to kind of evolve some of these ideas. But these were our initial ideas, kind of that stemmed from when we were just planning for virtual learning.
And if needed, and if the class is split, I believe we have at least 2 parents per class. Is that right, Erica? Do we have 2?
I'm sorry, I didn't
at
hear
the
that.
moment? Do we have, if it gets to the point where the class needs to be split, if we have 2 room parents per class, we could just split it up that way as well.
Yeah, we do.
We'll just
we
like
do
roll
have,
with it.
yeah.
I think
It
most,
might just be, yeah, splitting the group up a little different.
I think most of fourth grade only had one.
Yeah,
We checked.
So
you might
Nicole-
be right, yeah. There were
Nicole?
still several classes that only had one, but I think the majority throughout had two.
Hang on, am I the one fourth grade room parent?
Uh-oh.
We're getting better. It's okay. There were none before.
No, I think Rajani's also one.
Yeah, I'm a room parent. I think they were saying it's only one per class instead
One
of
per
two
class,
per class.
yes.
Yeah,
Okay.
prior years.
It might be nice to do some work, like all the fourth grade room parents together, because I'm thinking about if the kids get split into online and in person and like split and split and split, bringing them back together again is important so that they can keep those relationships going.
Great idea. Yes.
Yeah, I would agree that, maybe even to start, maybe starting with a grade level event as your first event might be a way to go, especially since it likely will be virtual, and just to kind of gauge what attendance might be and that sort of thing. So maybe collaborating with all the first grade rooms, for example, on the first event. But again, I think we're all very open to any ideas the group has.
So this is my first time doing this. So is that, like, how does it work? Like, does each set of classroom parents or each grade level classroom parents, like, just talk amongst themselves, like email each other and decide on an event, and that's it?
In the past, we've had set events, so this year is very different.
Okay.
So in the past, we've had kind of the set Halloween party, winter party, service projects that we helped with.
Mhm.
So this is
Field trips.
is different.
Got it.
So Erica, that was my concern. So it used to be that all those parties, we had the same parties for every room. And then, some rooms had like, they were decorated out the wazoo and everybody in all these decorations and cakes and cookies and whatever. And then some rooms basically had nothing. And so they tried to really regularize things, and like everybody got popcorn, everybody got apples. It was very kind of systematized. And so my concern with this is that there's going to be a total inequity between rooms. And I guess I would like to see maybe a general, guidance on, in fact, I mean, I don't want to take anyone's creativity away, but I would be in favor of everybody does something in the month of October, like we all do the same thing, or else there's always going to be FOMO and people are going to be comparing, and we're setting ourselves up, in my opinion, for critiques. So I don't know how anybody else feels, but I guess I really feel strongly about that.
Yeah.
But so when we think about so it's optional, right? So we have to think about it from the perspective of, will we have access to everyone's email to invite them? So when we talk about the equity part, we're planning events, we're not really going anywhere. So I think that's something too. So of course, I guess our first action is to get all the information, like email addresses, phone numbers for the parents. Like that's the first place to start, because we'll have people that drop out right away, are eliminated right away if they not share their information with us, right? So that's why that's one of the first things on our task list as room parents, gathering information, because we can't invite you to a virtual event if we don't have the right contact information. So I don't think we'll necessarily be going anywhere. So there's like stark inequity. I think we just want to make sure people feel included, which is the goal.
No, I'm sorry. I absolutely. I think I wasn't meaning within the classroom. I wasn't thinking like only some people would get an invitation. I completely I agree with you that making sure everybody knows about it. I'm talking about across the 4 third grades. I'm saying across the 4 third grades, making sure that the 4 classes, that the events that are planned maybe for the 3rd grades are in sync.
Oh, that would be wonderful, right? Yeah, I think that's a great idea, because then we get together, we plan ahead, and then we just figure out who's going to coordinate. So I think that's fantastic. I get what you mean now.
Yes, so it sounds like, Sarah, maybe you're suggesting having kind of like a standard event, at least for the first event, so that everybody's at least starting in the same space or place.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. I think that's a good idea.
I agree with that. When we were talking about putting the budget together and what we were hoping to budget so that we could do more with this classroom communities idea, we really did want it to be equitable, so that the money it wasn't just like all room parents like, oh, doing whatever they want. Again, like everyone says, not to stifle the creativity, but if we could maybe just share the creativity across the board and kind of maybe agree upon some, at least at the grade levels, I think, similar ideas. What might fly in fourth grade might not be what's appropriate for kindergarten, obviously, but so that, the students at the grade level are kind of having the same kind of experiences and getting the same opportunities in terms of what's being funded. We didn't want, it to not be spread out evenly, and maybe as a group we could vote on some things.
Well, I think that makes sense, especially with how the curriculum is set up by grade level right now, where they are supposedly supposed to be all kind of doing the same thing by grade. So we can, attempt to do the same thing as room parents.
Mm-hmm.
This is what we discussed. I think once we were seeing not enough people sign up originally, we were a little worried that people might not want to do that, but that was the same thing we discussed of kindergarten might not want to do the same thing as fourth. And so if you wanted to band together, but I also think this year, and I think it's great if we have something similar, but I also think this year is especially a year that we kind of have to meet people where they are. And so if you're in a classroom that is really needing something else, I know there's a mom that teaches yoga. Well, she doesn't want to teach yoga to K through 4. That's something she would like to do within her own classroom community. And what a benefit to that classroom. And I know that might not seem fair, but I think it's such a benefit. I think anything that we can do to build community and build these classrooms is a benefit. And we did talk about how sometimes that looks different and might seem unfair. And so that's why we thought that the grade levels could kind of speak across grade level. But I don't think it has to be perfectly exact for every grade level, as long as we're doing some similar things.
Yeah, sure.
So maybe to start things, I think one hurdle will be to get kind of everybody in your class's contact information. So we'll continue to work on that. But as you connect with your co-room parent and grade level events, maybe each grade level could brainstorm a couple ideas on maybe what a good first event would be, and we could all share those ideas and decide if we want to all kind of go with the same idea in October.
Well, should we do a Halloween thing? I mean, if it's October, should we just all do something Halloween related?
What does the group think?
Yes.
Halloween?
Halloween.
The kids love costumes, and
Okay.
it's a big part of what they love to do. And some of them won't get the chance to trick or treat this year, so if they could show their friends their costume or do something.
Kind
That's
of
a
like
great idea. They can dress up for
Halloween
class.
show and tell or
It
something.
gives us the whole month to put something together.
Not to just throw a wrench in it, but Halloween is not actually celebrated by everyone or appreciated. So from an equity standpoint, I think we need to be sensitive to that. And also, I'm concerned about and the kids going back, like at least the fourth graders are going back to school on October 29th. So that will be their first day back in the physical classroom, and to add additional chaos for the teachers of a Halloweeny type thing. I just think that whatever it is that we decide to do, we need to be sensitive to that, because it's already going to be, you know, masks and distancing and the first time back in the building, and maybe not make everything more complicated than it's already going to be. The younger kids will be back earlier, but fourth grade starts October 29th.
Mm-hmm. I think that's a good point, for sure.
I think
What
something.
did we do for Halloween
fun, but-
when?
Go ahead.
No.
A couple people mentioned Spirit Week in the chat as a possible way to initiate an event. Does anybody know when that is, or has that not been announced?
I have not heard anything.
It's been discussed as that needs to happen, and it hasn't actually been announced about when. So I think you could make it so.
Okay.
So do we want to do like a virtual Spirit Week or like an in-person thing? Maybe we keep the first month virtual to keep it easy, and also to do something to kind of close out the last week of virtual learning. The week prior to
That's a
October
good idea.
26th.
Yeah, I think
I like
that's
that.
good.
Easy.
I don't.
Maybe it's a Spirit Week that week, and every day that, like we did that last year in the spring. Let's just copy that. Sorry, I'm all about simplicity.
Did we? I've blocked all that out. I don't.
Yeah, there was like a mustache day, a hat day, and then, you
Unaway
know,
shirt
cute
day.
for social media. You can post pictures, your classroom. You know, maybe it would be something fun for the kids to do online. And then that way the teachers, Christy, to your point, don't have to worry about additional chaos.
The thing I like about that is then the kiddos who might actually feel kind of sad that they're not going back into the classroom, they get to be part of something right away off the bat.
Yeah, that's very true. And maybe one of those can be, you know, a Halloween-esque theme, like make your own mask, you know, maybe it's something like that. Go collect leaves and make a mask on a paper plate type of thing. Something cute that everyone has access to.
Okay. I think that's a good idea, to kind of aim for a Spirit Week as a first event. Does the group feel like that's, I guess, tied back to kind of connecting each classroom? It almost feels like more of a school-wide event. I'm just trying to think of how to make it a classroom event.
Yeah.
Maybe it doesn't need to be. Just coming back to like our classroom community idea of kind of connecting each class. But maybe it's just a good fun thing to get something started.
Well, maybe in addition, I'm just brainstorming out loud here, but if you want to try to do something classroom community-esque, I mean, everyone is like totally zoomed out, myself included, clearly, given my face. I'm like, but maybe like that week of Spirit Week, you invite all the parents onto a Zoom just to meet and greet one another. Because I feel like we had curriculum night, but that wasn't really a time where you could face-to-face with parents. You know, maybe it's just a 15-minute check-in or something like that to try to build some community before we head back into the physical classroom.
That's a great
That's
idea.
a good idea.
It's not very exciting, but I'm not sure what you can do that's all that exciting virtually.
Call it a wine and cheese, then it's exciting.
Agreed.
Bring your own to Zoom.
Yeah.
All right, I think these have been some really good ideas, and I can definitely circulate these ideas to those who were not able to join, and we can kind of continue some of the conversation maybe via email to get things moving. But I want to be respectful of everybody's time since it is getting kind of later. So I think just to follow up, I'll plan to do that, is to kind of send the information to the group, and again, continue to work on getting the contact information. And obviously everybody can reach out to me at any time if there's any questions or other ideas, as well as reaching out to some of the other community builders.
But Erica, when you mentioned getting the contact information, is that, I mean, I saw the thing that went out from the PTO in like August or something about the new system they have.
Mm-hmm.
Is it like people aren't registering for it or what?
Yeah, I did pull some information from the PTO directory, and really it's pretty sparse what we have in there. I'm waiting to hear back from Liz Duffett. She has some information, I believe, from the annual update when people, I think there was an option in your annual update to share your contact information. So I'm hoping that'll give us a lot more. But other than that, it'll just be kind of maybe sending something via the teachers saying, are you willing to share your contact information to get PTO stuff? So that's kind of the last line that we were thinking of.
I think we should also, sorry, Clara,
no, go ahead.
Sorry.
Go ahead.
We should just clarify that because parents share their information with the school, doesn't mean that they've shared it with PTO. So unless they've agreed to share with PTO, we don't have access to it. So that's why we still have to gather that information.
Yes, thank you. Yeah.
Well, I think that was the question that's asked in the form, is whether it could be shared with PTO.
Yes. So hopefully that will give us more information.
Yeah.
Erica, I'm sorry. Did you already send to all of the parents the kind of standard letter that they can send to their community through their teacher, or not yet?
Not yet.
Did you already tell them about this? I'm sorry. Was I late and missed that?
No, that's okay. So I do have, I think I mentioned it, but I do have kind of a formed letter that we can send via email that I was hoping to send to you kind of with your list of contact information. So that'll be kind of coming soon, that you can use that template and send it. It's kind of meant to introduce yourself to your class, hopefully obtain more contact information, and kind of move forward with room parents in general.
Sorry, Erica, maybe I'm not understanding. Did you say that we do not have a list of contacts, or we have a list, but it's a small list?
So the contact information I have right now is just what's in the PTO directory, which is not a large number of families.
Okay, that's interesting. Which PTO directory are you looking at?
The new one for this year, I don't know the exact name. The online.
Okay, through membership toolkit?
Yes, that one.
Okay, because I'm in it right now because I have access because I'm the webmaster, and I see that we have 367 contacts.
Is that just for Onaway though?
Just for Onaway, which is actually pretty high.
That's surprising.
Now, like Boulevard only has 57, for instance.
Okay, maybe I can chat with you offline then. Maybe I was filtering something and missing some information.
This may not be useful to kids with parents with kids in kindergarten, or like their first kid in kindergarten, but I think there's still, you can still access A to Z, because I had to do that to try to find some additional email addresses, because I had, my teacher was having a birthday and I needed to kind of contact them early, and you know, she's leaving on maternity leave soon, so I kind of wanted to touch base with them on that too. So I've already reached out to the those that I could find contact information for, but I'm still struggling with, like, you know, a third that I don't. So, you know, I asked folks to fill in where they could, like other parents, if they happen to know other kids who are in the class, other parents who are in the class. But yeah, it would be good to have that.
I'm not sure that I can break this down by classroom. This is the first time I've accessed it, to be honest with you, but
yeah, I was only able to do it by grade level, and I had to sort through.
By grade level?
Yeah.
Okay. So am I just lucky? Are Irene and I just lucky in that Miss Burns provided us with a class list and it was complete? Nobody else got that?
You're
Did they
lucky.
get the parent contact information?
Yeah.
Okay.
No, I
In
don't
the
think we
past,
did.
if I've asked my teacher for it, they've always given it.
Yeah, it depends on the teacher. I've always had incomplete lists and had to, you know, send out paper correspondence and,
Right.
you know, try to piece it together and get lists to help us.
And I think in the past, we have relied on in-person events and paper sign-up sheets for getting that information. So that's kind of, I think, where we're maybe a little bit behind the ball this year with not having
Well,
those
in
in-person
lieu of
events.
that, we would do backpack meal, and that's not an option now.
Yeah.
Well, maybe we can have the teachers put it as an assignment on the Google Classroom to make sure they're
Yeah,
complete.
Yeah, right.
that was an
maybe the
idea,
teacher could-
Christy.
Your parents have homework. They need to fill this out.
Mhm.
Well, they could at
Friday.
least pose the question, you know, if you wish to be contacted, please send your contact information to our room parent.
And that's what I have in kind of the letter template that you guys can use to send out, or just connecting with the teacher and maybe seeing if they're willing to share it or if they have other ideas on how to approach the class parents.
Great idea.
The birthday thing reminded me, do we have like the favorite things list? Or has that been distributed, or will we be distributing it to the teachers?
That's something that's been kind of on my to-do list that I haven't gotten to yet. So that's definitely something that I can do.
I received it for both of my kids somewhere. I received it maybe in an email, but it was for both kids. I will double check. Check my email.
This year?
Maybe it wasn't about me.
Some teachers shared it on their like orientation slideshows. Like, this is about me, and sometimes they've shared some of their favorite things. So, but I don't know if everyone did.
That's where it was. Thank you. I'm not
Yeah,
crazy.
Any other questions or comments?
No, I think it's just going to be, you know, we can all share ideas and work together. I've been a room parent now this is my 5th year, and every year is a little bit different, and the information I get is always different, and this is really different. And I know I was scrambling at the end of last year for 3rd grade, and I felt like I, you know, we tried to do a good job, but I felt like I kind of missed the mark in the end. And I think having a community of other, especially grade level room parents to lean on to just share ideas and say, hey, you know, what are we doing? And come together as a group will be really helpful.
Yep, I agree. Okay. Well, thank you all for the ideas and discussion, and definitely reach out if you have other ideas or questions, but we'll be in touch kind of about next steps. So have a good evening.
Thank you, Erica.
Right. Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Thanks so much, Erica.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
You too. Bye.